Tansei, welcome to APTN National News Daytime on this Monday. Thank you for joining us. I'm Krisanachkite. U.S. President Donald Trump is continuing with his threats that he will annex Greenland. Nunavut Premier John Mayne says the territory stands in solidarity with its neighbor and that threats like these are very troubling. APTN's Justin Hardy reports.
After recent talks at the White House, Danish officials said it's pretty clear Denmark and the United States are not on the same page about Greenland's future. The issue hits particularly close to home here in Nunavut. Iqaluit and Nuuk, the capital cities of Nunavut and Greenland, are only about 825 kilometers apart. Nunavut Premier John Mayne said it's troubling to see certain major international players taking such a strong interest in Greenland.
It's not at all what we're accustomed to hearing in terms of the recent past here in the north. And so we desire things to be worked out multilaterally. So our hope is that, between Greenland, Denmark, and then those that they're speaking with, that things can be worked out in a way that's mutually agreeable based on respect.
Trump has also made comments about annexing Canada. Many are concerned that if the U.S. ever did move on Greenland, the focus could then shift across the Davis Strait. Mayne says Nunavut needs to be a part of any federal discussions related to Arctic security.
It's entirely inappropriate for discussions around Arctic security and sovereignty to exclude people who actually live here. Inuit voices need to be heard. The voice from our government is also needing to be around the table. So, it's part of who we are as Canadians.
Greenland and Nunavut have a lot in common, including shared Inuit culture and long-standing connections between communities. Mayne says he wants people in Greenland to know Nunavut stands in solidarity with them.
We view them as partners. We view them as neighbors. And, when they are being put into difficult situations, we feel for them, and we want them to be respected, and we want them to have a safe, secure homeland as they deserve.
Justin Hardy, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
The residents of Saskatchewan First Nation in Northern Ontario are still displaced after water contamination forced many from their homes. And as CTV's Camille Caramelli tells us, it's far from the first time they've had to evacuate. And leadership says it's been decades of broken promises from the federal government.
This small hotel room is now Talisha Wesley's temporary living space in Niagara Falls.
Use other hands.
With no idea
to make it feel like home somehow.
When she might get to go back home because of an ongoing water contamination crisis in her community.
No showers. We can't drink the water, not even the filtered. I was making juice, right, and I got sick. Everybody got sick. Everybody's still sick.
Hotels in Niagara Falls now housing hundreds of members of the Saskatchewan First Nation while they endure a devastating water crisis. It's been just over 2 weeks since the fly-in community in Northern Ontario declared a state of emergency. The remote reserve of more than 2,000 residents, most of them forced to evacuate.
Are you leaving?
Including Rebecca Friday.
It's an awful experience. It's a scary thing. This one is more like a shocker to me because it's a sudden thing.
Early this month, the community's water treatment plant failed. Fresh water systems contaminated, sewage creeping into homes, flooding the reserve's only clinic.
The sewage system, as we're seeing, is in fairly poor shape, and it appears that it hasn't been maintained to the level that it used to be maintained.
The First Nation has had to evacuate multiple times over the past 2 decades because of constant flooding from the nearby river that also continues to eat away at their already crumbling infrastructure.
The community has a relocation agreement with the federal government. The community wants to be able to relocate to a place that is, not experiencing these flooding issues, the water issues.
While the Saskatchewan First Nation pushes for timelines for a new permanent home,
Pretty much it.
those who evacuated south with this message to Ottawa.
I would like for them to at least experience a day over there just to see what it's like, because It's really frustrating.
trying to make the most, for now, of their temporary home. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Niagara Falls.
Saskatchewan RCMP are in need of the public's help in locating a man from the Thunderchild First Nation who has been missing since last October. Here's an update. On Sunday, November 2nd, Battleford's RCMP received a report that 40-year-old Jonathon Frenchman was missing. The family tells APTN News that the father of 9 children from the Thunderchild First Nation has been missing since October 19th, and they didn't report him missing sooner, thinking he would come home. The family says they believe Frenchman was last seen in the Moosomin First Nation, located about 35 kilometers north of North Battleford, visiting a family member and friend. RCMP, however, states that Frenchman was last seen in the town of Cochin on October 19th. According to the family, Frenchman's disappearance is concerning and that he would always be home helping his family and others in the community. Jonathon is 5'7", 180 pounds with brown eyes and long black hair. If anyone knows where Jonathon Frenchman is, you are asked to contact RCMP. Frenchman's auntie Barbara Jimmy says it is not normal for Frenchman to go missing, and Thunderchild Chief Delbert Walpass says the RCMP needs to move more quickly in their investigation.
It's been too long. Honestly, it's been too long for this person to be gone. And honest to God, Jonathon would have called home. That's just the way Jonathon is. He was loved this kid so much. And it's not right that he's not calling home. He never picked up no money. He hasn't touched his welfare money. There's something wrong, really wrong. And we want to find out what's going on.
Where our people, are not being treated as equals, and the same amount of resource and time is being put into it. And if the RCMP are saying this is what we've done and trying to hide, what they've done, which is minimal, I don't think that's right, because we're here to support.
And you can read more about Jonathon Frenchman's disappearance by going to our website at aptnnews.ca. 2 of 3 people charged in the death of Taya Rayanne Sinclair were in court of King's Bench in Saskatoon late last week. APTN video journalist Rachel May brings us the latest.
Michael Smiley and Chelsea Crow were in court this week, facing a number of charges in connection with the death of 24-year-old Taya Rayanne Sinclair of Saskatoon in 2022. Court heard from the Crown that Sinclair was held captive and killed in Saskatoon before her burned remains were found in a snow dump behind a hospital in Prince Albert. On day 1 of the trial, Monday, January 12th, Chelsea Crow pled guilty to assault and unlawful confinement for holding Sinclair and her boyfriend, Kenneth Bell, tied up in a closet. She was originally charged with manslaughter. Her sentencing hearing is set for January 30th. Co-accused Michael Smiley is charged with first-degree murder in this case. His judge-only trial is expected to continue for another 10 days. A third person charged in connection with the case appeared as a Crown witness. Stephanie Halkett Stevenson was sentenced to 18 years in prison without eligibility for parole for 9 after she pled guilty to manslaughter, assault, and unlawful confinement in November 2024. She described taking Sinclair to Smiley's home, tying her up in the basement, and returning later to find her dead under a tarp. She also testified that Smiley told her to clean up her mess and that she later helped transport Sinclair's body from Saskatoon to Prince Albert, where the body was lit on fire. With week 1 of a 3-week trial behind us, the Crown will continue with their evidence before Smiley's defense takes over in the coming days. There's word that Smiley himself could take the stand, as well as expert witnesses and police. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A second First Nations man has been shot and killed by the RCMP on the East Coast in less than a week. The Serious Incident Response Team, or CIRT, is now investigating. On Sunday evening at around 6:30 p.m., New Brunswick RCMP asked the public to stay away from the Tobic First Nation due to a police operation in the community. Later in the evening, the Serious Incident Response Team said they were investigating a police-involved shooting in Tobic and an adult male was dead. Tobic Chief Ross Purley said the man identified the man as Bronson Paul, a son, father, and partner in the community. He says a sacred fire has been lit at the local community hall and mental health supports are available. Chief Purley says community members are angry and shocked by the shooting, and he is pushing for transparency in the investigation by CERT. Tobic is about 180 kilometers northwest of Fredericton. In a statement, Chief Purley added, "We know that there was a call to 911. There was no request for assistance from the police to our tribal security members, council, or outreach team. This has typically helped de-escalate these situations. We are unsure why lethal force was used in this case. However, Bronson is another Indigenous man who was killed in the hands of police, along with Rodney Levi, Chantel Moore, and Stephen Iggy Deedham." Chief Purley says the First Nation will shut down the RCMP detachment in the First Nation until they know it's safe for community members. The Yukon RCMP released statistics earlier this week highlighting its policing efforts in areas like impaired driving and community safety. Its data shows 757 impaired-related occurrences in 2025, resulting in 213 formal charges. That's up from 723 occurrences in 2024, with 155 charges. The most common type of impaired driving charge in 2025 involved alcohol, with 590 occurrences and 169 charges. The division also says investigations led by its crime reduction unit helped charge 27 people in 2025. Those charges include 46 criminal code charges and 29 Controlled Drugs and Substances Act charges. A First Nations community in northern BC lost their school to a fire over the weekend. The fire broke out at the Blueberry Community School on Saturday morning at around 6:30 a.m. The school is located in the Blueberry River First Nation, located about 80 kilometers northwest of Fort St. John in northern BC. At this time, RCMP say there is no indication that the fire was suspicious, but the cause is still under investigation and no injuries were reported. The school has served the community for decades and was also used for funerals, adult education programs, and cultural events. The First Nation says the community's firefighting capabilities were insufficient to put out the fire, and the First Nation has no agreement with the City of Fort St. John firefighting services because of the distance. The First Nation says it plans to rebuild as soon as possible. An airport on the East Coast recently got a facelift that includes Mi'kmaq Indigenous art and storytelling. That story after the break. Welcome back. Northern Ontario's first Indigenous-led Heart Hub is now up and running along the North Shore. The Homeless and Addiction Recovery Treatment Hub is operated by the Mamwaying North Shore Community Health Services. The various locations include Blind River, Sagamak, Anishinaabeg, and in the Indigenous Friendship Center in Sault Ste. Marie. They provide services such as substance use treatment, supportive housing, and mental health case management. Heart Hub officials say this model will help address gaps in the system for Indigenous clients.
It can be challenging for folks to feel like maybe they don't belong in those spaces. So to have a space specifically designed for them, you know, coming from our community with our local knowledge holders and our elders, it's something that, you know, they'll be able to feel comfortable in and respected in and, you know, just feel valued and seen and heard.
Officials say they are still looking to hire a range of employees across their sites to offer services. The new connections area at the Halifax Stanfield International Airport welcomes travelers to Canada while celebrating Mi'kmaq culture too. CTV's Mike Lamb takes us to the newly expanded facility where creativity took flight.
Today we officially opened our International Connections facility. It is a two-phase project that we undertook several years ago. First phase being for travelers who are connecting on to other places in Canada. That connection process will be much simpler. You won't have to collect your bags. You will not have to go through security pre-board screening a second time. You'll continue on to your destination more quickly, which is an awesome strategic advantage for Halifax Airport. The second phase is the area that we're standing in today, which is the revamping of our arrivals facility. So if you're staying in Nova Scotia and in Canada, you will go through this big, new, beautiful space that we have launched, officially opening today.
I'm gonna go up to the sky.
After consultation with the Mi'kmaq community, it really does give you a great sense of place of arriving in Mi'kma'ki, and we want to create that for those that are arriving into Canada for their first time.
Hello, bonjour, welcome to Canada.
The Mi'kmaq community have been here for generations. It really was important to us as an organization to ensure that there was a great sense of arriving in Mi'kma'ki.
So I'm really happy about display at the airport. I've been working all my life to have public art where, you know, more people we won't be invisible anymore. Stephen Francis did the floor here, and which is amazing. It's a collaboration, and the airport also. So I'm really happy to be a part of this.
When travelers arrive here, I want them to instantly see that they have arrived in Mi'kma'ki, and I want them to see that through not only the art that we have here, but the architectural finishes, the living green wall, the wonderful trees that we have, the stones, and to remember that as they're doing their journey through Nova Scotia.
So awesome. We now want to give you the results of last week's web poll questions. Our first question was, should the military be used more often to help Indigenous communities that are in distress? 64% said yes, 24% said no, and 12% were unsure. Our second question was, do you think that reconciliation is still a priority for the federal government? 29% said yes, 55% said no, and 16% were unsure. And our last question, are there safe and secure shelter services where you live? 33% says yes, 41% says no, and 26% were unsure. Thanks for taking the time to cast your votes. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca to see this week's new web poll questions. A young drum group in Ontario is healing its community one song at a time. Mike McDonald is up next with that story. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. St. John's, rain and 4. Charlottetown, flurries and -1. Cartwright, sunny and -11. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, -12. -12 in Saguenay. Quebec City, partly cloudy and -7. Toronto, -5. Sarnia, flurries and -9. Sudbury, -9. Thunder Bay, clear skies and -24. Norway House, -22. Godslake, -27. -22 in Brandon. Gimli, -26. -16 in Regina. North Battleford, -19. Sunny in La Ronge at -21. Clear skies in Buffalo Narrows at -18. Partly cloudy in Fort McMurray at -6. Peace River, -3. Calgary, 1. Edmonton, -4. Vancouver, 11. Cloudy in Penticton at -2. -4 in Fort Nelson. Smithers, cloudy and -6. -20 in Old Crow. Watson Lake, -13. -4 in Yellowknife. Fort Simpson, sunny and -3. Sax Harbor, -19. Colville Lake, -16. Chesterfield, -25. Baker Lake, -26. And Arctic Bay, -28. Resolute, -29. A group of young boys are making their presence heard and felt throughout Northern Ontario through their singing and drumming. The Young Thunder Singers are a youth group from Thunder Bay, and they're on a mission to bring healing to those having a hard time and to honor their ancestors. APTN's Mike McDonald reports.
The sound of voice and drum resonate from within this small coffee house in downtown Thunder Bay. Called Howl at the Moon, it's a no-alcohol bar and caters to those seeking a sober night out, an appropriate venue for the Young Thunder Singers. Since they began performing in elementary school in 2020, the group has grown. Founding members Hunter DeRosier Krieger and Justin O'Keefe say some of those early gigs were a bit rough.
It's quite scary, actually. I wasn't really too familiar with drumming and singing in front of big groups like that. You know, in the school gymnasium, it's quite echoey in there. It can be a bit hard on the ears.
Especially in our gym. We had a big gym at our elementary school, and it's like really loud in there.
Oh yeah.
Even just hitting the drum lately, it's like an explosion.
But O'Keefe says it wasn't long before the group found its footing.
Change your confidence in a good way. It'll prove to you that you're more capable of doing what you could do beyond what you think you could do, I guess you could say.
The prevailing message of the group is healing through culture.
I know that plenty of like young people in this city struggle with like addictions, like abusive households, stuff like that.
Gang violence.
Yeah, stuff like that. And bringing the drum around here can help to bring those people into like healing, you know.
Sharon O'Keefe is Justin's mother and the group's manager. She's been through her own struggles and wants to make sure Justin and the boys stay on their path.
I felt that I needed to help them along the way because they're still all young. They're all under 15. And as his mother, I felt that I needed to help him so he doesn't go off the trail, off the road into doing other things like drugs and alcohol. There's a lot of stuff like that goes around, and I didn't want him to go down that road of life. I can be on my own healing journey as well. I've been sober for over 20 years, and I've been doing what I can to find my way to a good life, and I think I have found it.
Sharon's husband, John O'Keefe, serves as the group's driver. Seeing the group performing in schools makes him proud.
Back in my days when I used to go to school, there was never Native culture in our school. And a lot of times we were picked on because we were Native people. And today it's much different because the kids, they're given that choice to bring their culture in school and drumming, and to share their culture with other kids in school.
The Young Thunder Singers perform regularly throughout the year. They've got a Facebook page for those looking to book them or wanting to see where they're performing next. Mike McDonald, APTN National News, Thunder Bay.
You love to see it. And that's your daytime newscast for this Monday. We're back again for your evening newscast in a few hours. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next day.